Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Spiritual Underground Podcast. If you're just bumping across this, my name is Dan Reeves. I am the host of this podcast. We've been going on for a while. Appreciate everybody's support. Uh, if you're just coming upon this podcast, it's primarily 12-step recovery based. That's generally what the majority of the content that I provide. But I also have people come knock on my door that are not necessarily sober, not necessarily sobriety, recovery, that kind of thing. But there's an aspect to this that's growing spiritually. That is like, and when I say spiritually, I don't mean religion. I mean like this spirit, this soul, this thing that resides inside of us that makes Dan Dan, and it makes you you. And there is something to that. I'm convinced. I was getting ready to like put a qualifier on it, but no, that's what it is. We each have, much like our fingerprints being completely different, where the FBI can check it. We each have an internal energy that is ours alone, and we get to have a little bit of agency over that. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's hard. And I'm here to try to help you get more in touch with that and to be able to like harness it. So that's what we're doing today. Deborah's with me today, and and I would just be flat out. I looked up her profile. I looked things, but I don't. I assume my guest is going to be the subject author, the subject expert on what they're talking about today. And I used my gut to say, yeah, this is a guest that I would like to have on my show, or and hesitate to say this, but people that bring like chemical solutions, CBD and stuff like that, are usually people I don't want necessarily. And but I just run with it. So Deborah Weed, in that last name.
That's what got you, huh, Dan?
No, it was somewhat of a deterrent at a level that, that I was like, I don't know. But then I dived in a little deeper, and I was like, well, that's just a word. It's not her. So I might be wrong. I might be right. I don't know.
Oh no, you should have seen how our sons were growing up. There you go. With that kind of name, even with my husband, it was like very interesting.
Yeah. So I guess my first question always is like, how did we end up together here?
Well, one of the ways that we ended up together is because I feel very passionate about inspiring every which way that I can. And I think for addiction, there's all kinds of addictions. And one of the addictions that I'd like to focus on, or at least talk about, Dan, is problem solving.
Hmm.
Because
That's interesting. Yeah.
because for me at least, problem solving is an addiction. And I don't know how it dovetails into the 12 steps. We're going to have to hash this out, but here's some thoughts on it. When it comes down to it, we keep on thinking, if I can solve this problem, then my life will get better. So we focus on, guess what? The problem. And we keep on thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And so many times, unfortunately, we don't know it, but that gets us into tremendous trouble. So I don't have the typical kind of addiction. I am the founder of the Self Worth Initiative. And what I've learned along the way is that there's a big difference between self esteem and self worth. And it dovetails into this whole problem solving addiction. So that's
Hmm.
how we got together.
Yeah, that really quickly prompted a lot of thoughts in my head, and uh, golly, I like to focus on you, so I try to not be on me. But I hit the jackpot in the dad department. That's unusual for people who are in recovery.
Wow, that's cool.
Usually their dad is absent or crappy. Let's just be honest.
Right.
And I don't have either one of those. Matter of fact, my 87-year-old dad is up those steps, right?
God bless him.
And I
God
love
bless
him
you,
to
Dad.
death. And he's taught me a lot. But
Yeah.
along that same realm, there was some productivity stuff and some, like, I can't be caught being wrong. I can't be caught being lazy. These kinds of things that we take on, and the problem solving thing is also right along in there. I've been taught to fix people's problems. I'm a handyman around town, and I go to your house and I fix your problems. Whether it's a cabinet door or a bathroom door that won't latch or various things. And you know, and there's nothing that's great stuff, right? That's great that I'm able to make a living doing that. But then again, you get into this, okay, I'm here to fix your problem. I'm, and it comes into the human aspect, and I'm pretty good at that too, actually, as a 12-step recovery member. Uh, but I understand how that can be, it's a burden.
It is. And what if and Dan, what if you get into unsolvable problems?
I do quite
Like,
often.
like, let's say that you have a parent. I like you. My dad is the best. And I also want to offer some of his ideas and thoughts that I think would be really helpful for your listeners. But let's say that your dad was abusive or things did happen that didn't go right. That's a problem, and a lot of times we focus on that unsolvable problem, which is kind of like an addiction, because that's probably why, one of the first things is, I'm turning things over. I'm surrendering. Because when you are problem solving, you're focused on the wrong thing. And even if you're in neutral, you might be able to move forward, especially with support.
Yeah. Yep. What you focus on seems to propagate.
Not even a question. Not even a question. And I think that especially in society, right? If you're going through something, and let's say, we have such a tendency to judge people like all the time. So, what if you're getting judged on top of everything else because you can't fix the problem? I mean, what does that do to your whole self-worth and feeling of, participating? Does it make you want to contribute to life, or does it make you want to just, go backwards and just say, look, I've had
Retreat.
enough? Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
The tendency to retreat and go, hey, I'm no good here. I'm backing out. And then the gifts, because I do believe we all have gifts that we are given, and we forfeit those as a result of things that will make us feel powerless and back out of it. So much, every time we have a thing called a 4-step where you inventory yourself.
Yes, yes.
And every time I have this inability to speak my truth, right?
Mm, yes.
So when dad is doing something, I have an utter inability to say, Dad, that goes against my thinking. That is not what I believe. And I'm able. It's another gift, right, to have this example right in front of me all the time, and a wonderful sponsor and teachers around me that get to point that out, right? So I always kind of talk about I have an unfair advantage somehow or another that but not everybody has that, and you can go along with that like willfully blind
Yes.
and don't understand that's happening to you, and you feel, you know, under under the wheel with it,
Helpless. Absolutely
helpless.
positively helpless. One of the things that I'm learning right now, and it's one of the it's one of the toughest things, but probably the most powerful. Why is it? And I don't know if it's for men too. Maybe this is a woman thing. You tell me. Why is it that we try to be more defensive when somebody isn't listening to us?
Mm.
Why is it that we try to talk more about why, what went wrong, what the situation is, rather than saying, ooh, I've learned not to go to people that can't hear me. Let
Mm.
me go towards, even if I don't even know if anybody's out there, towards the people who are going to see me, respect me, and let me just show up. Why
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, and I do believe men suffer from that as well, that we like, uh, I need you to hear me.
Yes.
Uh, and,
And do we talk
and, because the people that are hearing me are not the problem.
are not the problem. And back
People
to the
that are
problem
hearing
solving.
that won't refuse to hear what I'm offering, they are the problem.
So there you go. Again, we're right back into the addiction to problem solving, which I think, uh, for me, I have not had a problem with drugs or alcohol, but I have had tremendous trauma in my life, tremendous trauma. And there's been so many times spiritually, I've been down for the count. And I've risen every time with books and musicals and things to inspire people to know their worth. Because for when I crashed, I lost my own worth.
Amen. Yeah.
And there's a big difference, I say this all the time, and it's really important to understand. There's a big difference between self-esteem and self-worth, and most people don't get that. Self-esteem is I did something great. Look, I fixed your whatever it is, I did a great job. I feel real good about myself. But what happens when you have nothing that you're doing that feels good? Self Worth, on the other hand, is how much are you saying that you're worth? Are you worth something? If society deems that you're not and you feel worthless, then what do you do? There's
Yeah.
a big difference between self-esteem and self-worth. And I think that that is like, I can't even imagine when people are pointing a finger and saying, you shouldn't be doing this. How could you look at you're a failure, whatever it might be. It's like, how do you reclaim the belief that you are worth something even when everybody else is saying you're not?
Yeah.
You have to claim it. You have to say what you're worth.
As all the ancient spiritual teachers have said, it's an inside job.
It's an
Back as
inside.
far as anything, even beyond our documentation,
Yes.
writing, that's been the lesson. And it's interesting that, here we are, whatever, thousands of years later, that we still struggle with that same issue. And I come to the fact that maybe our job as a human is to go through that struggle and have to arrive at a point where I don't know what I'm worth. And we call it a bottom in 12
Yes.
step recovery.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But I think everybody has that
Oh,
little.
yes. Oh, yes. I don't care who you
I'll
are.
stop it with everybody because it's not everybody.
Right. Right.
But most of us do come to that point where it's like, okay, what is life about? What am I here for? Life's got to be more than this. There's got to be more to life than what I'm experiencing, and that and that spiritual bottom where I have to go, okay, I need to look another direction and start doing some things differently.
Yeah. And here's the interesting factoid. The thing when I crashed from a real extreme trauma, a misdiagnosis, the thing that saved my life was a penny.
Mm,
A penny. Because I learned that a 1943 pure copper penny could be worth $1 million. And for me, in that situation of where I was, to find out that something that people wouldn't even bend over to pick up on the ground is like, it's worthless. And that particular penny was made by mistake. what happened was usually they put steel inside pennies, but there were about 15 of them that got out of the steel business. They were all pure copper. And it was because they were made by mistake that makes them so valuable.
Yeah, at a certain mill, at a certain mint, at a certain time, at a
Yes.
certain whatever, and
Yes,
people walk by that and go, "I'm not picking up that penny. It's not worth anything."
exactly.
You can be completely wrong,
Well, that's
and
that's
that's the way our lives are, right?
that's
It's
the way
exactly
our
what.
lives are. Because that's why
I love that. I love
when
it.
I started this self-worth initiative, it helped save me because it made me think. I used my creativity when these pondering things come up. And I was like, let me create a musical for kids and adults, their parents too, of course, but mainly for kids that teaches them about self-worth. Where one of the pennies is Alistair, and he's like perfect, never been touched. He's like, he's got it all. He knows he's worth a million. And then there's Henry, and Henry has been in the garbage can. He's been on the streets.
A
He's
thousand
been
pockets.
in a thousand pocket. Oh, see, you're one up of me. A thousand pockets, but somebody's lucky penny, and going on a roller coaster ride in a washing machine. And so in this auction, they're going to now find out how much they're worth and why. And of course, Alistair is like, "Oh, I won. I'm worth millions of dollars." But guess what happens to him, Dan? He ends up in a silver box for the rest of his life. Lucky him.
Good.
Perfect silver box. But Henry ends up with a little boy named Tommy, who his grandfather gives it to him. And he's like, Grandpa, this is like you gave me $1 million. And Grandpa's like, well, why are you saying that, Tommy? And he said, because it was born the same year as you.
Uh,
So even though this is a children's story and that I created into a musical that we did in New York and Miami, it really means something to everybody because if you take it for your own life and you realize that all those shiny pennies that have never been touched and look perfect and are in that case for the rest of their life, yeah, they're in a beautiful home. But if they had, like, if you have a choice, would you take the adventure and the journey and have all the experiences that Henry had and maybe find love? Or at least, at least at the end of the day, say, boy, that was quite a ride. Or is it all about perfection?
I so love that whole concept. I do. I really do. Man, it prompted a bunch of stuff, and I was keeping my mouth shut while you were
No,
talking.
you asked, you
Because
asked.
I don't, you
No.
were on a roll, and that's part of
Yes.
my job as this podcast host to let you roll along there. Uh, these metaphors for our life and how we move through it, and we can be so blind to it, right?
So
And
blind.
and I operate on metaphors. That's the way my mind operates, of these stories that parallel what we're doing here as this goofy human experience that none of us really understand, right?
Right.
But you can put it into that framework and go, you know, uh, how my thought one of it was is like how roughed up that penny gets, maybe moving through a million pockets. And I picked up a nickel the other day. It was a 1948 nickel. And I have something in my head that told me pre 65 nickels are silver and are worth more. And I don't know that that's true or whatever, but I Google it up and I see, and it talked about the main thing about the value of that nickel was how much wear and tear it had on it.
Yes. Yes.
But also in the same vein, and it decreased its value because of how, and I get that, right? If it's in pristine condition, it may be worth more. But my
But
mind
worth more
is
is a
going, I
perception.
don't know, man. The experiences that this nickel has had is worth more than its pristine ability, its pristine condition.
Yes.
That is exactly what come to me as I'm holding it. And I think a 1948 nickel is a no nickel.
Yes, exactly.
And
That's the
this has
point.
more experience and more value to me than a new one does by a long shot. It's been in a lot of pockets, and you've got to it had and that goes to our life experience. You know, what have you been through?
Yeah. What have you
Uh,
been through?
How many rough edges have you had knocked off of you?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many times have you gotten back up after feeling like you got knocked back down? Um, I came into recovery in 2011, got a year's sobriety. Uh, Thought I had it.
Yeah.
Was like graduated,
Yeah.
and at the time I would testify to that, right? And at that time I was still married, and walked down the path further, and things happened, and my wife got tired of me and decided that our relationship was no longer worth keeping. Uh, I don't know that I've been through any more pain than that
I'm
period
so sorry.
of time, and again, you don't have to, it's just this thing, right? It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
what we do. We walk through life and we have good things happen and not so good things, because I won't throw bad on it, you know. Uh, but that allowed me an opportunity to go, okay, Dad, do you want to get worse or do you want to get better? And I had a point. Now, I didn't think of that at the time, right?
Right. You were in survival.
People around me that were helping me make that decision. And, some years I got better for a little while. And then I got worse for a little while. Then I stood in front of a judge in New Albany here, in New Albany, Indiana, that said I was going to go to prison for 6 to 20 years.
Wow.
And I had another decision to make, right? But I wasn't sure I had that decision was within my agency. I didn't know, you know, but some guys in 12-step recovery were offering me a solution that they were convinced would work, but I wasn't,
Wow.
you know, I,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
and they offered me, and things got better. And I walked their walk. I said, okay, help me. I'll go with you. And I walked with them, and I've been walking with them for 10 years, you know, and things got better. I was able to open myself to the universe and say, help me.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, when we go through these cycles, you know, I don't know if I'm not, I know I'm not unique, but I believe my pattern is pretty typical of what we do.
Yes.
We bump into a problem, and then we rise. If you're lucky, actually, because sometimes people refuse to rise from it, and you rise from it, and then sometime down the road you bump into another problem, and I guess where I'm gonna circle around to is your thought. Sounds like you're really focused on kids.
No, I'm focused on sharing self-worth in every which way.
Okay.
So for
But
years,
how much value is that with the children we're trying to raise? I
yes. Well,
don't know.
I've
I'm a
been
little.
tremendously successful with the kids, but ironically, when you're a parent and you're with your child watching one of the musicals or anything that I'm putting on, putting together with books or whatever it might be, you're just as impacted. I've had more I've had more parents come to me and say, "Wow, that really touched me." In a big way, because sometimes if you go after adults, all the languaging is so highfalutin that nobody gets it.
I love highfalutin. I use that quite often.
You do? I didn't know that. Well, there you go. I must have known. So to me, it's like I'm with the self-worth initiative, I'm going after anybody who
Mm.
needs, who needs to hear what they're worth.
Yeah.
You were asking me in the beginning, hey, how did we come together? This is cool, but it's like so different. It's so random. I'm putting together a musical, like a full-scale musical is what I'm working on right now. Hopefully to the scale of Wicked or whatever. So
Wow.
why am I coming to you, Dan? Well, because you're me, I'm you. We've gone through, you might have like the addiction that you've gone through and rising up from what you're doing, but I've had my challenges too. And I have a lot of answers and a lot of wisdom that I am so eager to share.
Yeah. That's and what I was circling around to was that one of the things I've noticed and taken note of is the men I'm able to help and their ability to become a purposeful father.
Ooh, I love that.
And sometimes and it's hit me that like okay, because we all when you get aligned, you start feeling about like what your purpose is, right?
Yes, yes,
And we all, I believe, are searching for what is my purpose
right.
to do? What am I planted down here on this big blue marble to do, right? Because we get
Yes,
rather lost if I just go to work every day and I come home and I go to work every day and I come home. It's like, what am I doing? Just paying for my car and my insurance, and is that really all I'm here to do? No, we're all here to do more than that, and to be able to, and I'm fortunate, I feel fortunate to have hooked into a purpose. And sometimes I look at that and I see, and I don't have more than one, right? Where nobody's like, that's your purpose and that's it. No. But it's come to me about my purpose here is to help these younger fathers be parents to these young people, these kids. As I said to somebody earlier, it was great that Dan at 45 years old, 12-step recovery, come in and like fixed him, air quotes for those that don't have the video, fixed him, right? That was good. That was really a good thing. But more importantly, is that Dan was given an assignment from the universe to go help these other men who have young children. And then they get to raise these children in a way that will benefit the rest of this trip on this big blue marble. It's and I'm hearing some of that here, and I don't know if I'm right, wrong. I don't know, but I'm seeing something or I'm feeling something that like is in that realm of putting some positive energy into this next generation.
Oof, they need it. They need it desperately because of all the social media and everything else that's happening. It's like we're all being destroyed in so many ways. But I like you said, why are we here? What is the purpose? What are we doing? And in the end, it's an experience of, I know it sounds trite to say love, but that's kind of what it is.
All
Even
boils
when
down
we,
to that in my world.
yeah, even when we hate ourselves, right? Even when we don't let other people in, there's still a bigger purpose. Oh, I'm gonna go off on a tangent. Just hang with me, okay, Dan? Because that's what I do. I go on tangents with stories.
I love tangents.
So, good. So I wrote another book called If Only, and it's about a snowflake who's going to take her leap, and she goes with faith as she's coming down. And like, there's so much that she wants to understand because snowflakes melt, right? So there's so much she wants to understand about life, and faith is right there to answer her questions. But that's not what I was going to mention. What I was going to mention is when I was doing research, listen to this. A snowflake only expands when it falls.
Mm.
Let me say that again. A snowflake only expands when it falls. In other words, it's a star seed. So it's starting out very, very small, and then it's going into the atmosphere and it's hitting all the wind and doing all that stuff and spinning. That's when the branches come out. So once again, what does that say about our lives? It
Yeah.
didn't say that they were beautiful, right from the get-go. It was that through the falling, through the tension, through the whatever, however you want to call it, that's where growth takes place. And it may not look pretty. It may, but maybe there's a moment in our lives. Maybe it's just even a moment where we're that like a beautiful snowflake that's so intricate where it's like, oh my God, that takes my breath away. And maybe the rest of the time we're melting. But in that experience, there's something beautiful. There's something for us to report. We're all like walking, talking books, anyways. Somebody up there is reading them, going, wow, look at that story about oh, I'm getting bored. Let's slap them up with something.
Yeah, I love that. You know, my engineer mind went to as it warms and gets closer to Earth, it's expanding as it warms. And maybe that is the creation of the crystals and the thing that is our mental thought of the beautiful snowflake. Probably wasn't that beautiful way up there.
No, it's a star seed. That's
Right.
it.
As it comes down, it does that. And um, boy, it throws some thought. You know, this human experience is a weird thing, you know, and I doubt we will ever like get our whole arms around it, right? And it would be probably useless if we actually did go, okay, here's what, you know, it's the mystery around it, and the okay, let me search and find and feel and see. And let me make mistakes. And one of my favorite men talk about my assignment here on earth is to make mistakes.
I
Because
love it because
before I
that's the
get to
truth.
learn from that, and then I get to recover from the mistake I made if I'm doing it in a healthy manner. And then more importantly, I get to come and share with you the mistake I made. So therefore you maybe won't make the same mistake I made.
And how do we know it's a mistake?
Yeah. Well, in his world, it's more of like stepping on our own toes, you know,
There you
and
go.
in the full circle of it, really, what to go with what you just said, it was not.
It was not. Maybe it
Not
was
a mistake.
all planned
It was
up.
not to I stopped. I went somewhere, and it's not. And I think that's his underlying theme. There is that you know so many of us think we have to be. You know, we have this assignment down here. We're supposed to be something that you know,
Perfect.
be perfect, not make mistakes, not all that. And my buddy Lau gave me a mindset that I'm allowed to make mistakes,
Oh
and
my
as
gosh.
I follow up with it. But us, you know, I don't know. There's so much to this little journey that we do down here, and like not everybody is assigned to like carry it as far as you and I have, let's say. And I don't mean that as putting me in any kind of place that this is an accident. The fact that I'm sitting here doing podcasts and doing what I'm doing, none of that was on purpose. I didn't sit back at 12 years old or 16 years old or 20 years old and go, someday I want to be doing this. Uh,
I
this
don't think
all just
it.
happened. This is that stardust that
Yes.
fell down, and I listened to it. I went,
Yes.
all right, yeah, okay, let's try it. A lot
Yeah.
of imposter syndrome about who you think you are. You know, I'm ramping up on 400 episodes of this podcast.
You were telling me that before we even got on. That's incredible.
7 years of doing this, and you know what? I like, you know, and I had no idea. I just started doing it one. You know, this is 12-step stuff, one day at a time.
Yep. One day.
I'm gonna live today. What's
Yeah.
today? What does today have to bring me?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I do that, and then uh, and again, my audience will get tired of it, and I could care less. What I get to do is bump into people like you who are a force for the good, who are out there trying, you know, doing what they can do, what they feel led to do to have influence on making this a better place.
That's my goal. That is my goal. And I want to share a story. I had told you before we even started that my dad was like a wisdom keeper, like a Yoda. So I really, for whatever reason, I really want to share this story, and hopefully it will touch one of your listeners or more. I was in crisis, and I had to come home for a while to, be with my dad, and physically I was in bed. And I had inspired so many people, Dan. I had made a difference for so many people. And here I am in bed for literally 3 years, not able to do anything that I had done before, which had been like, the heights of a professional thing. And I came to my dad and I'm like, Dad, I'm brokenhearted. I really wanted to make a difference. And here I am in bed, I can't do anything. And can you help me? And he's like, yeah, yeah. What I want you to do is I want you to get a bowl of water and some food dye. I'm like, and this is my dad. I'm like, what? A bowl of water and food dye? He's like, yep, trust me. I go in the kitchen, I get the water, and I get the food dye. And he says, okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to take 2 drops or a couple drops of the food dye and put it in the water. So I had blue, I put a couple of drops in, and then he said, okay, now I want you to mix it. So I'm mixing it, thinking, what? Here I am drowning, and my dad's having me do a science project. But anyways, I mix it up real good, and then he looks at me and he says, okay, kiddo, now what I want you to do is I want you to go get those 2 drops of blue that you put in the water. And I'm like, but Dad, that's impossible. And he said, exactly. It's impossible. It's impossible for you to remove anything that you did for another person. Whatever they're doing right now, there's 2 drops of you in them.
Mm.
So even if you're in bed in crisis and can't do anything more, you're everywhere. And those people are in you. So anything you do, you're carrying their 2 drops, their 2 blue drops. So I just wanted to share this story as we were talking, because so often I would imagine that if you're in crisis, you're trying to stay sober, whatever it might be, you might feel as though your life is over and it didn't matter. And I'm emphatically saying to you and everybody listening, that's not true. If you touched a person's life in any which way, whatever you did, they've got that inside of them, and that will never, ever be able to be removed. Just like my dad told me to try to get those 2 blue drops that were mixed in the water, and I realized it was absolutely impossible.
I love that. I do. Kind of set me back on my heels a little bit. We totally underestimate our value in the world and how we touch people, and we can muck it up too, right?
Yes.
We can put brown drops in the water sometimes by accident. But we all are interconnected, and maybe the brown drops are supposed to be there, right? You never
It's
know.
contrast. It's contrast. If somebody wasn't homeless, then I don't have a chance to give them $1. I mean, maybe this is all prearranged. We don't know. I mean, one day we'll know. But listen to all the episodes that you've had. How many blue drops are out there? Yes, there's brown drops. And if anybody says that they don't have them, I don't know if I believe them. But
You used to say brown drops are bad, right?
but they're not.
I throw that out there, but oh,
But they might not be, because we don't know. We don't know what we signed up for. One time I was reading some spiritual stuff, and they said, hey, if you see a person who's had a perfect life, I don't know if you believe, I don't know if you or anybody else believes in reincarnation or anything like that, but this is what it said. It said, if you see a person who's really having a great life and nothing's happened, This might be their relief life.
Hmm.
We don't know, do we? Those of us
I'm
who
open
are,
to all of that. I will be
yeah,
the first person to say, I don't know.
exactly. We don't. So but sometimes the angst of why is my life so horrible where every air quotes for those of you who can't see, um, who don't really understand that we don't understand.
Yeah, we don't. There's some weirdness in that, that like I feel fully that there's some kind of power driving this, and I'm a fan or a believer in reincarnation, and maybe I'm reliving something, some lesson that I didn't get back then,
Right,
that I'm
right,
getting now, and various things. But at the same time, I don't put too much into that, right?
right.
Just roll with it.
Yes, yes,
I'm open. I'm
yes.
uh, I think sometimes you can like drive yourself into a corner in those areas. Uh, that's kind of the beauty of what I've been taught is that if I will just kind of like go with the flow and trust my gut and the other things that are old teachings, uh, I'm fully sure that I don't know. I'm not. I apologize too much for some things, but I'm sure I've been here before. And that some of the experiences I'm having are repeats of previous experiences.
Right. Or, it's a different side of the vantage point. Maybe in a life you were like more like perfect, had it, or you had the $1 million house, everything was wonderful, but you were really unhappy. And then this way, you're really unhappy, but you found so much joy in the recovery process and the people's lives that you're touching. How would ever anybody be able to listen to you, Dan, if you hadn't gone through what you've gone through? They
Right.
would they would say, "Yeah, that's nice. Nice words you're saying. Thank you very much. Goodbye." But they can look at you and they can hear themselves. And we're so afraid to be authentic, and yet that's where our true self-worth comes in, I
Yeah.
think.
I, I agree. It's again, sometimes I spin into the rabbit hole and I'm not, because I don't know what's going on. I don't. I just try to do I joke around like the universe throws sticky notes down, little
Yes.
post-it notes, and my job is to read them and understand them and attempt to do the best I can do to adhere to them. And this podcast and some other things I do are a result of that. Uh, we in my circles we call them God attaboys, God postcards, got
I like that. I hadn't heard that. That's great. Thank
yeah,
you. That's
and I again, the whole G word gets people of all that. I don't care if you call it God. If you come to me and said Buddha told you to do this, I'm just as okay with that, right? Uh, and it's part of what I'm doing here. Uh, we're all sent here to do something and have a good. I love the big book. It's the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous has said we absolutely. Uh, let me go. I've lost the one word I'm trying to get to. We absolutely want you to enjoy life.
I love that. I
The
love that.
enjoy word is the one that I'm wrong on. There's
Yes.
another word
Yes.
that's in there. Uh, and that's what we're supposed to be doing here. And,
Yes.
and a lot of people struggle with doing that.
Yes.
We make a hard going of life.
Because from my vantage point is because they're off the mark. And what I mean by off the mark is like my dad again said that whatever you did as a kid is who you're supposed to be.
Hmm.
So, like with me, I was an artist and I was kind of like a little social worker. But when I grew older, I went into corporate because people thought I was really sensitive. So I was like, I'll show you. You think I'm sensitive? Ha! I'm going to take over the world. Did I smile in that job?
Mm.
No. Was I happy in that job? No. It's only when you get back to who you are meant to be. But see, that's the thing. We so want to fit in. We're a tribe. And to be in a tribe, it's sort of like I have to do it this way to be able to be part of that thing and not really go inside, like you had said earlier, and go, well, what's right for what feels good for me? Is it okay if I go for that? Is it okay if I do that? I think we'd have a lot more happy people if they just said, I hear what society and everybody else is telling me I should do, and this is what brings me joy.
Yeah, that's that parenting thing. Like, how, as a parent, do you allow your child to understand that that's a possibility for them?
Let them think for themselves. Let them think. This is
The
for all the
world is
dads.
your oyster. You
Yeah.
can
Well, they're
find your
actually,
way. Because
yeah.
I fell victim to that myself, and I get that as an alcoholic addict father. I needed my kids to be what I needed them to be.
Oof. Yeah.
And it was
Yes, I do know.
exhausting. And I hope I've repaired some of that. I do believe it, and hope it over time that I've repaired some of that I put on them. But yeah, that you know, little kids are little kids. Let them be little kids.
Right. But I think that we want there's so many motivations. There's the motivation of thinking that we're protecting. There's the motivation that I don't want you to get hurt like I did. I mean, there's so many angles. There are so many
Yeah.
angles. But one of the things that I did with my kids that really worked is okay, hang with me for a minute. If there's a glass of Kool-Aid on the table, it's red. Your kid comes up, he's 4 or 5. He wants to take the Kool-Aid, but there's a white carpet underneath. What does parents usually do? They usually say, don't touch that. Oh my God, don't go there. Little Johnny's going there and it's a big problem. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago is somebody said, here's how you really do it. You want a kid that's gonna, a good parenting technique, but nobody does it, is Johnny goes for the cup and you say, that's red. And if it falls on the carpet, it's gonna get red, and I'm gonna be really upset or sad about that. What's a better idea? And then Johnny goes over and you start programming him to come up with a better idea. He's coming up with it, not you. And he goes up to, oh, you're right. Let me go ahead and take this cup and move it more into the center. And
Yeah.
guess what? The kids will do it every time, but it just seems like a lot of work to go through that. But if you do that, like how would it have been for you or me or any of us if our parents were constantly saying, what's a better idea?
I love that line. I do. I wasn't capable of that,
No, but we didn't
but I
know.
love it, and I'm gonna teach it.
Yes, please take it everywhere. Take it
uh,
everywhere with
because constantly, for what I'm 55 years old, about to be 56, and I sponsor a lot of guys that are 25 and 30
wow,
and
wow, there you go.
raising children,
Yeah,
and they will
yes,
come to me for advice.
yes,
And you've just given me a piece of something that I can use. And
yes.
uh that I tear up when the universe gives me postcards.
Yes, I do too.
Hey, Dan, here's some more learning that you can benefit from, and your people
Yes,
can benefit from. Yeah, because raising children.
it's hard.
Ooh,
It's
do
it's
are
it's
you? Let me. I was getting ready to ask you this. Are you in a relationship?
yes,
You
yes,
have a significant other husband?
yes.
Because that's another funny area in today's world, right?
It really is.
Whether if it's okay if you're married or not, and kids or not, and you know, 50 years ago that was not a question or a problem. What?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But it is now. It is now in so many ways. And I think, well, relationships, somebody once told me that love brings up everything that does not look like love in order to be healed.
Hmm.
It was one of the most profound statements I've ever heard. So let me say it again. Love brings up everything that does not look like love in order to be healed. So I'll tell you, with me and my husband, if we're having an issue, right, and I'm upset and he's upset, that's going to look really messy. But usually something happened in my child and his childhood where we're clashing, where we hit each other's triggers. So it's bringing that up. Why? Not to destroy us, but so that we can look at each other and kind of go, "Hey, what's happening for you?"
That's a magical equation right there. That it doesn't have to be that we're not at arms with one another. There's something here that's happening that we are to learn from and overcome and work through.
That's all
And
that is.
that's
That's all that is.
I see I'm divorced now. I look back on my relationship and see how many places I felt short and how I messed that up. Well, we're great friends today. That's great, right? She lives just right down the
That's
road from me.
amazing. That's
We
amazing.
are partners still
Yes.
in our
Yes.
child's lives, and
Yes.
that's a miracle.
That's a
We can
miracle.
both be still teammates in
Yes.
our lives forward. That's not the typical thing. And I will throw out 12-step recoveries allowed for that.
Yes.
It did because I was able to go to her and tell her make amends. Amends in 12-step recovery is a magical thing where you get to go own your stuff and tell them, and all of a sudden they let their guard down, and it's been a great thing, but it's still tough. Um, I circled around there. She's not like has this framework that I have, so there's still a little bit of that. Uh, and I'm a little bit red pilled today. You know what that means? No? Good. Don't go looking it up. Uh, of this whole thing about our relationships and how we've have a problem in that department where people have lost their role, right?
Well, or it's a little bit different. Any relationship is going to bring up stuff. And that's why, like, let's go full circle here, Dan. Let's go full circle.
I'm ready.
So many times when somebody has, let's say you use the word brown drops. So I'm going to go with that. So many times people feel like they put in too many brown drops and not enough blue because they think it's negative, and so they shy away. But in reality, that if what my friend said to me, that everything is coming up to be healed, if we know where our fault lines are in ourselves, and we get to know that, when we put, it's almost like if we shatter into a million pieces, guess who gets to put us back together?
Hmm.
It's not us. And that's probably why the surrender piece is so powerful, because it's basically saying if you're shattered into a million pieces with relationships, because that's going to bring it up, that's what's going to do it, that's what's going to shatter you. So if you are already shattered into a million pieces, is that a bad thing? Are you sure it's a bad thing?
Mm. Yeah.
Or could there be the possibility that when you surrender and say, I have shattered into a million pieces, whatever's bigger than me, make me whole? Because, another thing that I just found out, and it's fascinating to me, I looked up healed. I looked up the word healed, and you know what it said? It kind of surprised me. It said whole. And
Mm.
when I saw that word, I was like, interesting. It didn't say healed all good things. No, it said healed whole.
I
So
like that.
does that mean that if we love the part of us that feels hate, and if we love the part, or maybe not even love, accept the part that just feels alone, and we accept the part, like if we accept all those parts of us,
Mm.
that's when we're healed,
Yeah.
not when we're pretty and not when we're perfect.
Yeah. Touches me, no doubt. I love it. I love talking to people like you that bring this stuff that uh, solidifies some thoughts. Uh, wow. I'm almost stuck off after that.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, this could be the landing point. At least we had a, very vibrant conversation, and it means a lot to me. I can see that you have put gazillions of blue drops into the world. And as you said, with the black brown drops and everything else that we also bring to the table, it's just learning. We're getting better. Think of the snowflake. I mean, I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. But think of the snowflake that started as a seed. It's only when falling that it expands. Think of the penny that's not worth hardly anything, and yet that penny that was made by mistake could be worth $1 million.
Yeah.
When you start and you think of the blue drops, that you can't take it out. And if you can kind of remember all those metaphors, you can realize that there's so much beauty in imperfection. Otherwise, there would be no story. There wouldn't.
There's a man named, I think his name is Ernest Kuntz, that writes the Imperfection of Spirituality. It's a
Yes.
huge book that really touched me. Stuff about allowing myself to be off the hook of being perfect and still being able to be in this realm. I get to be a productive individual in the world.
Yeah.
Don't have to be perfect, and I don't have to hide from you.
No.
That's another thing. There's a piece of me that always felt like I needed to hide from you.
Me too. I feel like I need to hide from you too.
And then I talk to you, and you reflect back to me, and we're like, oh, okay, we feel it's kind of like this may not be appropriate, but the Me Too movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too. Me
Yeah.
too. I,
Yeah.
I feel the way that you feel. And for whatever reason, I've spent a great deal of my life feeling opposite of that I haven't been able to be okay being me. And for the past 15 years or so, I've been able to be me.
Amen. Amen.
Super cool. All right. So, what do we do but talk about the things you are here to promote?
Well, the only thing that I'm here to promote today, I mean, I'm the founder of the Self Worth Initiative, and I have a lot of books and stories, and I can share where you can find it. But the main thing that I'm doing right now is I'm working on a musical, and it's to the size of my vision is to the size of Wicked. And I'm looking for singers, dancers, investors, producers, you name it. If they can find me and get on my website and DM me, find out more, because one of the things that I've also found is there's a lot of people who go through something who have tremendous creativity, tremendous, and they don't know where to put it. And if they have a vehicle that they find that they can express themselves, guess what happens? Healing. So, I'm not necessarily here to promote. I'm here to inspire,
Yeah.
inspire, inspire.
And promote is not the right word, really, and that's not what I mean. Like, what avenue of love are you here to offer that
With
would
all my
probably be a
heart, it's
better
the
thing?
yeah. With all my heart, it's the musical I'm working on, and it's called Paisley the Musical, and it's a whole nother story. But I think for your listeners, just if they are singers, dancers, producers, investors, they love theatrical stuff, just find me at Paisley's Fashion Forest or Paisley'sFashionForest.com or the Self-Worth Initiative .net.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't say my sponsor, who has been sober for 41 years, coming up on 42. He's been in the business of helping other people. He's a licensed clinical chemical dependency counselor, all
Ah,
stuff
yeah.
for 25 years or so. But at heart, he's an author and a writer and an actor and these creative inner self, and he expresses that, And as I run around in recovery circles, these folks that are, I have a men's retreat in June most years,
Okay.
and guys bring the guitars and they bring,
Yes.
and
See,
I'm
that's
like
why I'm
blown
saying
away by the like.
talent,
You mean
right?
you can do that? What's going
Yes.
on? Hold on a
Yes.
minute, man. Uh,
Yes. Well, that's
and
what I'm
you get to watch
saying.
this creative aspect in these people who are feeling buried at the moment,
Yeah.
but underneath there is this creative and expressive outlet that, like, it's so cool.
Creativity is a superpower. It's the
It
grand
is.
healer because it's energetically coming through you and out
I'm
into.
I'm a woodworker.
Well,
I'm
there
a
you
guy that
go.
creates stuff out of wood.
Yeah, there you go.
And
We all
it's
have
like
that.
where it's all under there, but when it gets buried by stuff.
Yeah, right. And that's why
And
I
like
am.
I had no idea. Thank God for my sponsor in some circumstances that he was able to go, oh, dude, you like to do, well, hold on, what about doing this? And what about doing that? And I sold, I sold two $600 picture frames today.
Nice. Congratulations.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
delivered them
awesome.
and hung them on the wall
There
due to
you
my
go.
creative
Yes.
abilities
Yes.
in that
Yes.
department, right?
Yes, I think that is I truly believe that it's a healer. And that's why, I'm doing this podcast tour and just getting out there and sharing. Look, I have a vehicle, I have an opportunity. There's so many people who have given away their power, especially creative people. And when they do that, guess what? They feel like they've got nothing left. I mean, if I was in that situation, I would be, I would be going to, the 12 steps too. Not even a question
Yep.
because I don't know how to breathe without creativity.
And it felt so good, right? I mean,
Yes.
just the dopamine, whatever, all kind of
Yes.
baloney you want to say, but to go there and them tell me how great these things, and this gal in particular is a great client. She has a interior designer that works with her
Nice.
like that. It
Nice.
helps guide me.
Yes.
And when they're both over there going, oh my God, that is fantastic. You're like, whoa.
Yes. I love that. That is so wonderful. I love that you shared that story.
And I
Yes.
think everybody has that.
Everybody
Everybody
does
does.
have it.
I'm not unique in that. Uh,
No.
my message
Every
is that, you have that too. And you can go have your whoa movement
Yeah,
moment.
I'm going for Broadway, you guys. I'm going
There
for
you go.
Broadway.
Yep. And the
It's like,
musicals and this different stuff, we all have these gifts, and it's
yep.
just a matter of trying to uh, get who I am not off of who I am.
Mm, love
Remove
that.
who I am not
Yes.
and get that shoveled off so that I can be who I am.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It's been great to talk to you.
It's been great to
This
talk.
stuff raises me, I was a drug addict and alcoholic for a lot of years. And this is how I get high today.
Oh, I love that. I
To
love
have
that,
these
Dan.
conversations and talk to people who are a force for the good in the world. And I don't have to turn on TV tonight because I've got my dose of what's really going on is people like you are carrying their lanterns and being a force for good in the world.
Amen.
Awesome. I might have already said it, but any last words and we'll cut it
I
off
just
and
want
I'll
to, yeah. I just want to thank you so much and the listeners. And I think this was a exceptional conversation because, you were right with me with everything, and I wish you the best.
Yeah, thank you. That seems to be the case. I just feel so engaged with my guests that I just keep on wanting. I look at my phone and I go, all right, here's going to be another great conversation with somebody that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Have a great rest of your Monday night. I didn't ask you where you were coming to me from.
Florida.
All right. Cool. I was down there just a month ago.
Nice.
All right. Have a good night. Love
You
you.
too.
Bye
Bye.
bye.